Good morning, friend. The first light touches your kitchen table, the kettle begins to sing, and a pair of walking shoes waits by the door like two calm promises. I'm glad you're here. At EverWell USA, our mission is steady and simple: better health and deeper dignity in the years that matter most. We keep that promise with stories you can feel and small actions you can try today. If this gentle company helps you breathe easier, please like, subscribe, and share so a neighbor can find their way here too. You are not alone. We're right here with you, one quiet breath at a time. What if I told you that the safest way to get stronger is to stop twice while you walk? Not to give up, not to lose momentum, stop on purpose. What if 2 short pauses could help your heart, steady your steps, and actually let you go farther with less fear? It sounds backward in a world that worships nonstop effort, but today's relief is this: a well-timed pause is not weakness, it is skill. Before we lace up, one gentle note to keep you safe. This video is educational. We don't diagnose or prescribe. Your choices about medicines and limits belong with your clinician who knows your story. Here, we practice a simple tool you can use today. 2 balance breaks, each about 30 seconds, with a safe handhold tucked into your usual walk so your body stays upright, your breath stays friendly, and your confidence grows. Picture an everyday morning that could be yours. Sunlight slides across the counter, a grandchild's drawing leans under a magnet. You stand by the sink, fingers resting on the countertop, and you notice how your feet feel when the floor answers you. That small noticing is where our lesson begins. A balance break is a tiny pit stop for your nervous system. You pause near something steady, a kitchen counter, a park rail, the back of a sturdy bench. You stand tall enough for your chest to open. You let 1 or 2 fingertips rest on the support. Not a tight grip, just a whisper of contact. Your ankles and hips wake up, the deep muscles that keep you from wobbling step forward to help, and your stride after the pause becomes surer, longer, kinder to your joints. The heart still works. It simply works smarter. You might recognize yourself in this next moment. Maybe you pushed through a walk last week because the weather was good and came home with tired knees and a shuffling step. Maybe you tripped once on a cracked bit of sidewalk and the memory still sits in your chest like a small stone. You are not fragile. You are wise. Balance changes with the years, and ignoring that truth doesn't make you braver. It makes you bruised. A 2-pause walk honors both courage and care. It keeps you in the talk test zone where you can say a full sentence, and it quietly protects you from the little stumbles that steal tomorrow. Let the scene move from the kitchen to the front step. You tie your laces and choose your route: the block with the friendly maple tree, the mailbox with the red flag, the park bench with the peeling paint. You pick 2 landmarks where you'll pause for your balance breaks. The first might be the corner where the curb slants. The second could be the bench under the sycamore. When you reach the first spot, you stop the way you stop to greet a neighbor, calm, upright, present. One hand touches the bench back, your feet stand hip-width apart. You soften your knees so they aren't locked. Grow a little taller through the crown of your head. Let your shoulders float down like a coat on a hook, and breathe. If you feel steady, you try a narrow stance, bring your feet a little closer, and hold that for a few breaths while 1 fingertip stays on the bench. If today is a wobbly day, you keep the feet where they are and simply let your body learn the shape of steady. 30 seconds pass more easily than you expect. Then you step off and notice how your stride feels smoother, how the ground seems less argumentative, how your eyes lift to the horizon instead of frowning at your toes. Maybe you walk alone. Maybe a friend or partner is beside you. Either way, the balance break makes room for a sentence or 2 to arrive whole. You say the month and the day, talk about the tomatoes in the garden, or share a memory that finds you when the air smells like rain. If you can finish a thought without chopping it into gasps, your pace is kind. If the sentence starts to fray, you ease the speed until the words return. Balance and breath are neighbors. When one calms, the other follows. Let's name the feeling you'll look for, because feelings are easier to remember than rules. After a balance break, the next steps feel like your body has been quietly realigned. The ankles stop arguing. The hips stop grabbing. The knees stop complaining for attention they shouldn't have to give. Your feet lift a touch higher. Your toes clear the ground. You don't prove anything, you practice something. Practice is what lets you walk again tomorrow. One more truth belongs here, the kind that lives under your ribs, where worry sometimes hides. If a sharp, crushing chest pain appears, if breath turns suddenly hard, if you feel faint or new weakness washes over one side of the body, this is not the time for a balance drill. This is the time to stop and seek help. Most days will not ask you for that. Most days will ask you for the small wisdom of pausing twice on purpose so the rest of the walk feels like you. Before we close, part 1, leave a simple action on the counter where you can see it. Take a sticky note and write 3 words. Balance 10-2 today. Put it next to your shoes. When you head out, pick 2 safe landmarks on your route. A fence post, a mailbox, a sturdy bench, and at each one, stand tall with a light hand on the support for about 30 seconds. Feel your feet spread, your ankles wake, your shoulders drop, your breath smooth out. Then walk on. You didn't break the walk, you built it. And tomorrow, your body will remember. The afternoon opens like a friendly door, and you step through it with your laces tied and your shoulders easy. 2 streets from home, the park path widens and a weathered bench waits in the patchy shade. This is where today's lesson becomes real. You pause not because you're tired, but because you're training. A balance break lasts about the length of a slow verse in an old song, 30 seconds that teach your body how to stand before you ask it to stride. You face the bench and let 1 or 2 fingertips rest on the back of it, the way you'd touch a friend's arm to say, "I'm here." Your feet settle under your hips so the floor can answer you with equal pressure on both soles. Unlock the knees, grow a little taller through the crown of your head, and let your jaw loosen as if you're about to smile. Breathe once and feel how the chest opens when you stack yourself quietly. If today is a steady day, bring your feet a little closer together and notice how the ankles and hips wake up to keep you centered. If it's a wobbly day, keep the space and let the support do its job. The goal isn't to show off. It's to remind your inner balance system, eyes, inner ears, and deep foot muscles how to talk to each other again. When they whisper, instead of shout, your next steps land lighter and lift higher. That tiny lift is the difference between clearing the sidewalk crack and catching it. A neighbor strolls past with a small dog and asks if you're okay. You grin and say you're practicing, then prove it by telling a full, easy sentence while you stand. Your voice is part of the drill because breathing well is part of balance. When breath smooths out, the shoulders stop racing and the ankles can do their fine work. You feel the sway under your ribs shrink from a wobble to a whisper. It doesn't look heroic, it feels honest. You start walking again and notice the path differently. The section that usually steals your attention where roots wrinkle the asphalt doesn't feel like a test today. Your feet lift without effort, your eyes travel farther ahead, and your stride finds that sweet rhythm you'd forgotten to look for. 2 blocks later, you choose a second landmark for your next balance break. The rail by the little footbridge. The pause is the same shape, light touch, tall spine, soft knees, calm breath, but your body greets it faster now, as if it recognizes an old friend. 30 seconds pass, and you step forward with a gait that feels newly oiled. A memory taps your shoulder. The time you rushed through a walk to keep pace with someone else and came home shuffling, hips tight, toes dragging. You forgive that version of you and thank them for trying. Then you thank this version for learning to listen. Stopping twice did not steal your progress. It made progress possible tomorrow. Endurance that ignores balance is a bill you pay at night with sore joints and anxious steps. Endurance that honors balance is money in the bank. You keep the afternoon gentle and clear. If pain ever arrives in a sharp, crushing way, if breath becomes suddenly hard, if dizziness or new weakness waves you down, you stop and seek help. Most days will not ask for that. Most days will ask for exactly what you are practicing now. 2 brief check-ins that keep you upright, steady, and able to enjoy the rest of the walk without staring at your feet. Carry 1 small action out of this hour before life gets noisy. On your next walk today, choose 2 safe places, a bench back, a fence rail, a sturdy counter if you're indoors, and give yourself 30 seconds at each with a light touch, soft knees, and a tall, easy posture. Count 6 slow breaths to keep time. When you start walking again, say 1 complete sentence out loud. If the words come out smooth, you're in the right zone. If they splinter, ease the pace until your voice returns whole. 2 pauses, 2 sentences, 1 calmer heart. Tomorrow, repeat it in the same places so your body learns the map. Early evening gathers in the neighborhood like a soft shawl, and you decide the milk can wait until after a little walk. The corner store is close, the kind of place where the bell on the door sounds like a memory. You set out at your steady pace and bring the balance idea with you, not as a rule to obey, but as a friend to meet along the way. Half a block in, the sidewalk tips where a tree root pushes up the concrete and you feel the old habit whisper, just keep going. Instead, you choose your first balance break right there at the safest spot you can find. The back of a sturdy bench at the bus stop. Your fingertips touch the wood as lightly as you'd tap a friend on the shoulder. Your feet quiet under you, knees unlocked, spine tall enough for breath to move. A few slow breaths later, you notice the wobble in your ankles settling down to a murmur and your eyes lifting from the ground to the horizon. You didn't lose momentum, you traded it for control. Inside the store, the air is cool and bright, carts click, a radio hums an old song, and you turn the freezer handle into your second pause point. It looks ordinary to everyone else, and that's the beauty of it. One hand rests on the door rail, the other stays at your side so your shoulders don't creep up. You stand with your feet under your hips and let your weight spread across both soles evenly, not sinking into one side out of habit. When the room feels steady, you try a smaller stance for a breath or two, then ease back if today isn't the day for narrower. You could lift your heels a whisper off the floor if that feels safe with the handhold, not to prove anything, but to remind your calves and toes they know how to help. Your breath stays warm and even the kind you can speak through. It's just 30 seconds, but the message lands in your body the way the chorus lands in a familiar song. This is what steady feels like, and I can find it again. On the way to the register, you float through the tight aisle without clipping a display, and it strikes you that balance isn't only about not falling. It's about walking with enough ease that your attention can widen beyond your feet. You can notice the peaches stacked under the fan, the neighbor who nods from the paper rack, the way the light from the window makes a clean line on the tile. Your body is doing small, smart things beneath your notice. Little ankle corrections, hip muscles sharing the load, eyes checking the floor and the distance by habit, and the balance breaks are what switch those systems back on when a day of sitting has made them sleepy. You didn't bully them awake, you tap them gently back outside. The curb asks for respect. You pause a single heartbeat before stepping down, not stiff with worry, but present enough to place your foot where the ground will thank you. If someone falls in a step beside you and the pace starts to creep, you keep your promise to yourself and let your voice check the speed. You say one whole sentence and listen to how it leaves your mouth. If the ends of the sentence fray, you slow until the words return. Breath and balance travel together. When you honor one, the other follows. A memory surfaces of the day. You skipped pausing because you felt strong and came home shuffling, hips tight, toes scuffing the rug. You forgive that version of you and thank them for trying. Then you thank this version for choosing pauses that give tomorrow back. You realize the small miracle of this practice. It works wherever your life takes you. On rainy days, you can rest fingertips on the kitchen counter between living room loops. In the grocery line, you can stand tall with soft knees and even feet while the conveyor crawls. At church, you can use the end of a pew before you turn down the aisle. No one sees a drill, they see a person who stands with ease. Kindness keeps walking beside you, and so does wisdom. If a new heaviness grips your chest, if breath suddenly won't come, if dizziness or weakness arrives like a stranger you didn't invite, you stop and seek help. Most days won't ask for that. Most days will ask for exactly what you just did twice without fuss. A fingertip's worth of contact, 30 seconds of tall and quiet, and then steps that feel like yours again. Carry one small action out of this evening so the habit has a home. Choose the 2 exact places on your regular route where you will pause every time this week: a fence post near the maple and the rail by the footbridge, or the freezer door at the corner store, and the bench at the bus stop. Say their names out loud as you untie your shoes so your mouth helps your feet remember. Tomorrow, when you reach those spots, let your fingertips rest, let your knees unlock, let your spine rise, breathe through one simple sentence, and then walk on with the kind of steadiness that turns a short errand into a quiet proof of strength. Morning returns with the kind of clear light that makes sidewalks look friendly. You slip your phone into a pocket, take the canvas tote for a few groceries, and start toward the weekend market. The block is familiar now, not because it is flat or perfect, but because you have a plan stitched into it. 2 pauses, chosen on purpose. You walk to the first landmark, a mailbox with a red flag that always squeaks and stops as if greeting an old friend. 1 or 2 fingertips rest on the cool metal, your feet land hip-width apart, your knees soften, and your spine rises tall enough for breath to move. 30 seconds is longer than it sounds and shorter than fear wants you to believe. You feel the small sway under your ribs shrink from a wobble to a whisper, and when you step off, your strides fall into that smooth rhythm that lets the eyes lift to the horizon. At the market, a breeze tucks under the awnings, peaches glow in their baskets, and the crowd's hurry tries to borrow your pace. You keep your promise to yourself. Your second balance break waits by the end of a wooden stall. A light touch, a steady stance, an easy breath. If you carry a cane today, it becomes part of the ritual handle under your palm, wrist relaxed, shoulders unhitched from your ears. Balance is not something you prove, it's something you practice. When the 30 seconds end, the ground feels less fussy, the corners less sharp, and your feet lift just high enough that the world stops catching at your toes. On the way home, a neighbor falls in step, and the conversation turns to small things that make days better. You notice how naturally a full sentence slides out as you move. Breath and balance are cousins. When one is calm, the other follows. The hill that used to steal your breath becomes a place where you slow a notch and finish your thought without chopping it into gasps. You realize this is what strength looks like now. Not a hard push to the edge, but a pace and a practice you can keep tomorrow. A quiet word of wisdom keeps you company, because courage and care share the same path. If crushing chest pain ever grips, if breath becomes suddenly hard, if dizziness or new weakness arrives like a stranger you didn't invite, you do not argue with the signs. You stop and seek help. Most days won't ask for that. Most days will simply ask you to remember what your hands and feet already know. Pause twice with a safe handhold, stand tall with soft knees, breathe like you're telling a story you don't want to rush, then walk on with steadier steps. Back at your door, the tote lands on the counter with a soft thump of peaches, and a small pride warms your chest. Not for distance, but for honesty. You didn't let someone else's pace decide your worth. You listened inward and came home with a body ready for tomorrow. Before the day drifts away, set one promise you can keep. Choose 2 landmarks you'll use all week: the mailbox with the squeaky flag and the stall at the edge of the market, the kitchen counter and the hallway chair on rainy days, and speak their names out loud as you set your shoes by the door. 2 pauses every walk. You didn't break the walk, you built it. Here's the simple truth we carried from kitchen to park to market and home again. Balance isn't a bonus you add after fitness, it's the ground under every safe step. 2 intentional pauses about 30 seconds each, with a light, steady handhold wake the quiet systems that keep you upright. Feet that spread evenly, ankles that make tiny corrections, hips that share the load, breath that smooths into a steady line you can speak through. You stand tall without locking the knees, keep your touch gentle instead of gripping, and let the shoulders drop so the chest can open. You choose fixed landmarks so the routine remembers you on busy days, and you let the talk test ride beside you. If a full sentence phrase, you ease the pace until it returns whole. Indoors or out, cane or rail, bench or counter, the practice travels wherever you do. Safety walks with you too. If severe chest pain, sudden hard breath, faintness, or new weakness appears, you stop and seek help. If you try one thing today, let it be this. On your very next walk, pause twice at the spots you chose. Stand steady with soft knees and a light touch. Take 6 slow breaths and then walk on with steps that feel like yours. Thank you for spending this time with EverWell USA. Like, subscribe, and share so a neighbor can find a steadier path beside you.